to have you with us tonight on TNT, and hope you enjoyed our Hollywood halftime. That was fun. Those guys are having a good time out there, aren't they? John, what has stood out in this first half to you so far?
Well, I think the thing most that stood out in my mind is how hard Paul Pierce now has to work to get his baskets. I felt at the latter part of the second half, the Celtics got more flow, and he was in a better position to go on his own because he's attracting a lot of attention now because he's doing a lot of things for himself.
I was impressed with the way the Celtics bounced back in the second quarter. Now, a lot of it obviously was Paul Pierce just taking over, but they did a much better job of rebounding. Remember, the Cavs are the #1 rebounding team in the NBA, and they just bullied Boston in the first quarter. Second quarter, it was 12-10 rebounding in favor of the Cavs, so the Celtics closed the gap, and they only turned the ball over twice. So they did a much better job of controlling the game a little bit in the second quarter. The problem, as you mentioned, Coach, they're relying so much on Paul Pierce that you get the feeling the only way they're going to win is if Pierce just goes for about 40.
And Pierce has to take an ice bath after the game because he's getting touched by a lot of people.
Let's now take a look at tonight's Dodge game summary. And under 45% shooting by both teams. Free throws basically the same, plus 10 in rebounding for the Cavaliers. Fast break points basically the same. In the first quarter, Cavaliers led by 10. Ilgauskas had 10 points. Cleveland at halftime here leading by 5. Paul Pierce had 19 in that second quarter. The biggest lead for the Cavaliers so far has been 14 points. Here comes Mike James with Pierce, Mim, Mark Blunt, and Yuri Welsh out there for Boston. Boozer, Ilgauskas, Eric Williams, LeBron James, and Jeff McGinnis, the 5 to start the second half for the Cavaliers. This is Mike James who nails the first shot uncovered off the baseline.
Beautiful feed by Paul Pierce, and again, Cleveland paying so much attention to Paul that there are going to be some openings there for the other Celtics.
Well, and those other Celtics have to capitalize on it, and that's what didn't happen as much in the first half. If they make them pay for the help that's coming towards Paul Pierce will be able to score more easily.
Here comes McGinnis, who came in that Darius Miles trade. When he first got here as the starting point guard, they quickly went 5-1 with him there. Now they're 5-4.
Yeah, he's played well for them, and they have Kevin Ollie coming off the bench in that familiar role for him. He's never been a starter, so it's probably better just to start McGinnis and continue to bring Ollie off the bench.
Chris Mim with a nice move inside.
Well, and you really see the Celtics getting more movement now than they did. They started the game standing around a lot. Paul was trying to attack by himself. But now John Carroll has them moving more, and he feels a lot better about the other guys being able to score.
Out of bounds it goes. Craig Sager, what do you have?
Well, former Cavalier Ricky Davis struggling in that first half, just 1 for 3. I asked him if he felt the pressure being booed so strongly on his former home court, and he said definitely. He said he felt that he became a little passive. As a result of becoming passive, he started to travel a little bit. He also decided the second half he needs to be more aggressive, go to the hoop more, and he also likes shooting at the other end of the court more. That is where his Ricky's Renegades are, so he knows there'll be a few people rooting for him. I said, what about that three-pointer you threw up that Steve Kerr said nearly broke the backboard? He said, well, where Kerr is sitting, maybe he didn't feel the draft. I told somebody at halftime to shut the door.
Thank you, Craig.
It's a good line. Good sense of humor.
Blunt picked up the foul. Look how much this Cleveland team has changed as well. They had Darius Miles and Ricky Davis and LeBron James to begin the season on the Cavs.
Yeah, they've made some moves, and I think for the better. They're a more well-balanced team now.
Mark Blunt. Missed tap in by Min, picked up by Ilgauskas, who collects his 7th rebound. Williams has 7 as well. And the Celtics led by the 7 rebounds of Mim. That gives you the rebounding leaders in the game. And outside, nice shot nailed in by Eric Williams, who's had a couple knee reconstructions, but is playing well. He's got 7.
And there's the guy who's really made the difference in terms of the personnel changes, because he's added a veteran presence in the locker room and a guy who can really play.
Here's Pierce and Welsh.
Well, and not only has Cleveland made changes, I think that they've made guys that can blend, that can complement one another. You got a guy like Williams and Boozer. These are guys you don't have to really run a lot of plays for. You got McGinnis now who can run the point so that James can be free to score. I do think they need another outside shooter, another guy to score from the outside on this team.
That's a good point, John. Here's Boozer digging inside. He now has 11. James 13. Ilgauskas has 12. All 5 5 of these starters average double figures in scoring, one of 3 teams in the NBA to have that luxury.
Yeah, they are well balanced, but John, I agree with you. They need a guy who can really shoot the ball from the perimeter, especially when you consider how good LeBron James is with the ball and how much attention he's going to attract, especially as he gets older and gets better. And that's why they really hope DeJuan Wagner can develop into that terrific perimeter shooter that they need.
Paul Pierce has 25. That foul on the last play went on LeBron James. That is his first. Cavaliers are 9 wins ahead of last year's pace. This time last year, they had won 10. They've won 19 already. LeBron James has 15 points.
Well, and LeBron James is in a position now with this team that even though he's gotten the attention that he's gotten, I loved what Paul Silas said about his learning curve still being up and his willingness to learn and to blend in with by some of the
master, I think, as a young player is the ability to post up, because in high school, these guys just go around every
changes where we get beat on the rebounds every night without Van Baker and Rayford Prince in there, and that's our biggest weakness right now. And you know, I felt like we would be 3 or 4 games better than this at this stage.
What happened with Coach O'Brien? Everybody had a lot of respect for him. Next thing we know, he resigned, turns down a lot of money to walk away.
Well, I had a lot of respect for Jim O'Brien too, but ultimately Jim just didn't feel like that he and I were the perfect team, that he was the coach that I wanted to go forward with and playing more up-tempo and offensive basketball.
So long on a great pass, by the way, by Jeff McGinnis.
Well, and that's what McGinnis is being on this Cleveland team has done for LeBron. He doesn't have to think about setting other people up, balancing the floor. Now he can come out and use his offensive ability and be the recipient of a lot of passes.
to see that game. The Knicks have a lot of firepower now.
Their roster is almost as good as anybody's in the Eastern Conference. Maybe as good as anybody's in the Eastern Conference.
I don't know if that's saying a whole lot.
Yeah,
but you're right, it is.
LeBron James.
I started to say, what does that mean?
Yeah. Here comes Welsh to the other James in this game.
And came down, went over to the trainer, and said he felt a tinge in the back of his left calf. He went in the locker room. He has been looked at by Dr. Richard Parker. He apparently has a strained left calf, but the doctor said it was okay to give it a go and see how it is here in the 4th quarter.
And Greg, now he's wearing a sleeve on that left calf, and the shot clock buzzer sounds. A violation on the part of the Boston Celtics, who have a rare advantage. This equals their biggest lead of the game. They lead now 80-78. They trail by as many as 14. Boston, John, is shooting 45%. Cavaliers are shooting 40% for the game.
Well, Boston started out so poorly by not moving and depending so much on Paul Pierce, but now they seem to be getting a little bit more movement. They also seem to be able to get some points off of their defense by getting out in the break. That's what Cleveland has got to understand. Once they have a team on the ropes, you've got to learn to try to put them away, and particularly when you're at home.
And let's give Marcus Banks some credit. He's putting so much pressure on the Cavs defensively. He's taking them completely out of their offense. And Boston's had a great 4 or 5 minutes here defensively, thanks to Banks.
James, shot clock at 2 over Welsh. Rebound by Ilgauskas. He has a double-double. He's got 16 points. That was his 12th rebound, and he has been playing some of the best basketball of his season in the last couple weeks. Good fake on Davis, and down the lane goes the 7'3" Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
No way a 7-foot guy should be able to come from that far out without somebody snapping in on the ball, dribbling that many times.
Didn't I just say they were playing good defense?
Yeah, you did. I don't know what you're talking about. Here comes Ricky Davis knocking it in, and tonight in his return, 20 minutes, 2 of 4, 6 points.
Almost another turnover, and that again is caused by Banks, really, because he's pressuring Ollie and DeJuan Wagner and McGinnis all night, and it's just forcing these bad passes and taking a lot of seconds off the clock.
And the one ingredient that they don't have, you have a great guy to put pressure on the ball out front in Banks, but what you really need also is a shot blocker, and then the rest of the guys can just be supportive defensive teams. Defensive teams are overrated. Usually it's 2 or 3 guys that are very good, and the rest of the guys give support.
Eric Williams, LeBron James, who is 8 of 21 shooting tonight. And Williams with the shot clock at 3 for LeBron. Nails it. And for LeBron James, that is his first three-point.
With nobody helping, and really the Celtics defense was at fault for that.
Here comes Banks off to Ricky Davis, picked up by LeBron James. Jeff McGinnis, whose best season in the NBA was a couple of years ago in that 2001-2002 season with the Los Angeles Clippers. Starter and over 14 points a game. Ira Newbill. Air ball caught by McCarty.
Boy, I think we need to close that door again that
James
Davis was talking about.
Did it surprise either of you that LeBron did not make the All-Star team?
Well, with plays like this, you know, you can certainly make a case for him. But, you know, the thing is, if you're going to talk about somebody who should have made it, you have to bring up somebody who shouldn't have. And I think all the guys on that roster are well qualified. And, Coach, you talked about today the fact that, you know what, he's a rookie. Make him earn his dues.
Make him pay some dues. I think he deserved to be on the All-Star team. I was surprised that he wasn't on the All-Star team, but I was happy as heck that he didn't make it, just from the standpoint that you've got a lot of older veterans that have also deserved to be on the All-Star team that's never been on it. It's not going to hurt him. He'll be on a lot of All-Star teams, and we know that he's an All-Star.
Is it fair? LeBron James, in comparison to other much heralded high school kids as rookies in the NBA, and you can see from a scoring standpoint, not even close.
And the only guy I think who can compare physically at that age was Stoudemire, because you look at the other three guys, they were skinny as rails coming in, and they really had to work on their bodies. This kid is about 240, just built like a rock already at this age. It's amazing.
And John, I don't know if LeBron is even a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. There's a pretty good player in Denver who led a team to a national championship at Syracuse last season.
Well, I'd love to see it be Rookie of the Years with both of these kids, because I think both of them have done extremely well based on the pressures that they both came in the league with.
Look at Ricky Davis. Of course, we're talking about Carmelo Anthony with the Denver Nuggets, who has been spectacular, averaging just 1 point beneath the 20 that James puts in here for Cleveland.
Wouldn't shock me if they did tie. Remember Grant Hill and Jason Kidd tied about 7 or 8 years ago?
Steve Francis and Elton Brand tied as well.
So it's not unprecedented, and I think if it's close, the NBA might just say, well, let's give it to both of them.
And two great kids as well.
Well, and both of them have handled the situation well. You've got to think of all the people who've come into the league. These two kids, and particularly James, have been under a lot of exterior pressure that other players might not have been under that have come before them.
Watch this by Paul Pierce. This is unbelievable.
Well, he's so good with the ball, and then when he gets you up in the air, he just uses that strength to be able to get the ball to the rim. Most guys can't even get that.
In the NBA, just 6 years out of Kansas. LeBron James, the 19-year-old rookie from Akron, Ohio, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and great nights, both of them in terms of scoring and just what they do for their team. And that's the thing about James and Pierce. Again, you know, they've got 6 assists, 6 rebounds per player, per game, in addition to very lofty scoring statistics. And that's what makes them such great team players.
Yeah, James in particular, it's amazing that he has this well-rounded of a game at this age. I mean, he makes the easy pass. A lot of young players want to make the spectacular pass. He'll make the right pass, the easy pass, the smart play. At this age, it's pretty surprising.
It is.
Well, and one thing he's doing is that he's now realizing the play has to be on himself. It's very difficult when you're as young as he is to really go out there and take charge of a team and get the respect of a team. Now he's in a position where he can receive the passes, go in and score. But Paul Silas told me that the beautiful thing about this kid is that he realizes he still has a lot to learn.
We have a clock problem here, and Craig Sager has been following this story as Paul Pierce, the mascot for the Cavaliers, are taking shots here at half court while they fix this out. Craig, what do you have for us?
Well, that sort of reminds me of All-Star Weekend. A little entertainment here.
The teammates love him because of the fact that you don't have to run a lot of plays for him. He gets a lot of the inside stuff.
Newbill with the rebound, but can't get it. Craig Sager?
Well, we were talking about, Coach. We talked to him. I said, what is the difference between the way you play in Boston and what you have brought to Cleveland? He says, I told him when I came here, I will bring a different sense of unselfish defense.
Ilgauskas the other way, good point, and the foul called on the Celtics with 2:12 to play. And Ilgauskas, you know, we've talked about Williams, we've talked about James, but Here's this guy, 18 points, 14 rebounds, and seemingly getting stronger as the season goes on. The foul there was called on McCarty for the 4th time.
Well, he can shoot the ball.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing that's good. I mean, he's not doing a lot of stuff going towards the basket strong, but he's getting rebounds, and now he's shooting the ball well.
Well, he was, excuse me, Kevin, he was an all-star last year. So you start thinking about the future of this Cavaliers team with LeBron James, Carlos Boozer. If Ilgauskas can stay healthy, he's certainly one of the best centers in the East. Just a matter of time before they become one of the top contenders in the conference. Just learning how to win and learning how to finish games. That's what they need to do.
Game 2 of our TNT doubleheader. On deck, Spurs and Rockets.
And I think Paul Silas has the right personality to coach this team because he's brought a kid along like James. It's not just a question of giving a guy the position of coach. We've been talking a lot about coaching. It's giving him the authority to coach. And that's the thing that I think is extremely important in this league. A lot of guys can coach basketball, but very few guys have the authority to be the coach of his own team.
Ricky Davis has just checked back in, making his return to Cleveland, where he made some comments, critical comments on the city and about the organization tonight. 26 minutes and 8 points. He's gone 2 of 6 from the field as Ricky Davis. And a foul, and this will go on Mark Blount, who picks up his 2nd foul. And here comes Eric Williams, who is 3 of 3 from the free throw line tonight for the Cavaliers.
And what a huge win this would be for the Cavs if they can hang on here. 3.5 games behind Boston for that 8th playoff spot, and obviously a 2-game swing here tonight. So this puts them right in the thick of things. And it's pretty amazing when you consider their record. You know, you throw them out west, they're about 1,000,000 miles away from the playoffs, but in the East, they're right there.
Why do you Westerners keep talking about the West?
Can you tell I'm a West Coast guy?
Boston has beaten Cleveland 13 consecutive times, dating back to the early 2000 season. A miss by Pierce, a 15th rebound by Ilgauskas, as Boston has missed 10 of their last 11, and this is what has afflicted them this season: poor 4th quarter games.
Well, you tend to be tired because Paul Pierce has to do so much for this team. I thought the break hurt them because they had gotten momentum, the offense was moving, but they became very stagnant after the break. Now Paul Pierce is doing a lot of dribbling. Where he was most effective is when he was coming off the screens.
Ricky Davis puts it back in. He's got 10. And that is the first field goal for Boston in 4 minutes.
And Paul Silas told us, Kevin, when we went to visit him, that this game was extremely important to the Cavaliers, and obviously he's conveyed that to his team.
So the Cleveland Cavaliers will be 10 wins. They'll be 10 wins ahead of last year's pace. It's Williams for 3. Rebound by James, knocked away by McGinnis and picked up by Davis for a 3 at the other end. A 16th rebound for Ilgauskas. This win for Cleveland will stop their 3-game losing skid. Boston will lose their 7th game in the last 8, and they are struggling.
How about this crowd, Kevin? The buzz is back in Cleveland.
So Cleveland beats Boston for the first time in 14 games, dating back to November 4th, 2000. LeBron James with a Cavalier high 24 points and 32 points for Paul Pierce.